All right, let's flip to hoops now and chat with our guy, Isaac Trotter, 24/7 Sports, CBS college basketball writer, getting ready for a monster game. Illinois, number 17 in the country against Texas Tech, number 10 in the country. That's before I've seen the AP poll come out this morning. But Isaac Trotter, how are you, buddy?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
College basketball is back, man. What was the first week like for you?
A little overwhelming. It's just like I have like 19 stat broadcast tabs open on my laptop. My laptop's like frying, and I have a couple games on. It's hard. I feel like I've gotten settled in though. It's like I cannot do 4 games at one time. I just have to watch one at a time and just try to learn something from that. And if I try to overwhelm myself with 4 games on at a single time, I feel like I gain nothing. So that's my plan for now, and we'll see if I could stick with it for the next 6 months.
Nationally, is the big takeaway, hey, these freshmen pretty good.
That's pretty impressive. I feel like night after night, it's Caleb Wilson for Carolina is like putting himself in the mix with that top 3 mix. Neoclis of Dallas at Virginia Tech has been phenomenal. Koa Pete for Arizona basically just like destroys Florida right away. And you're like, wow, like this is going to be a little bit different. And I think it's a sign too of like, hey, the 5th-year seniors dip, like redshirt or the COVID seniors dip. Sometimes your best additions will be freshmen now, and this freshman class is different. And I think it's also another reminder that not all 5-star freshmen are created equal, and this group of 5-star freshmen is a little different.
Yeah, it feels like we need another category. It feels like we need a 6-star because there's some dudes at the top of this class that are absolutely ridiculous. We'll talk about some Illinois freshmen that have been pretty impressive, better than their rankings so far. But let's get your early takeaways on Illinois. 2 bye games, but 113 points. Been some injuries, been without some of their top players in some of these games. So what have you learned about Illinois, even though they're playing lower level opponents?
I just think this offensive process is pretty sick right now. Like they are cooking with a lot of gas, and the ball movement, the shooting, the playmaking, the unselfishness, that is all stuff that I feel like will translate. And that's maybe the biggest challenge heading into Texas Tech is because you watch some of these teams and they have some of these tenets of how they want to play. And then they play and they do it against bye games, and then they go into high majors and all that stuff just goes out the door and they forget like kind of what made them good. I don't get the vibe with this Illinois group that it's going to be the same thing. The multiple actions, the multiple playmakers that they have from various levels of the floor really help them just get great looks. I feel like it's so early to say this, but it just feels like Kylan has settled in as just knowing exactly what I'm going to be. And that has really like set the tone for everybody else. And when you have a senior guard that feels like he's kind of like under control at all times, I feel like it's made Keaton really settle in. It's made Mirkovic really settle in. You see Zvonimir Ivisic be able to kind of do his thing. Jake is doing his thing. We'll get to Andre in a little bit, but it feels like Kylan has really set the table for this group, and that gives me a lot of optimism moving forward, even with Tommy being banged up.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him at the top because as much as these other pieces, like he's so key to it all. Tommy is so key to it all. So to see, but we know what Tommy is. Like when he's on the court, we know how good he is. To see Kylan kind of carry that over is monstrous. But I mean, the story really of the season so far, and really of the preseason, has been these 2 freshmen. David Mirkovic continues to roll 2 double-doubles in his first 2 games. The record is Kofi Coburn 12. That could be broken this year. That's amazing. And then Keaton Wagler has lived up to the hype. Maybe not as flashy, Isaac, but productive, efficient. So how much stock are you buying of both David Mirkovic and Keaton Wagler?
I think they're going to help you all year long. These guys have like really changed the complexion of what this team can be. And I think Mirkovic has like multiple things that like make him different. I think his balance is phenomenal. He makes tough catches in tight spaces and somehow keeps his balance and is able to navigate the floor and find openings and get buckets in the paint. I think Wagler, like I don't see many defensive mistakes on tape. Maybe some coaches could disagree with that. You could pick nits, but like he is so solid and fundamentally sound defensively. And that's just so different than other freshmen where it feels like you kind of have to live with those freshman mistakes. Early, it feels like Wagler's done a terrific job of eliminating those. And those 2 guys together, I mean, the fact that they can be your second or third or fourth or fifth best players at times, just depending on who's on the floor, is just a wealth of like, kind of speaks to the depth and the talent of this roster, but also speaks to their ability just to assimilate into this mix. And it doesn't feel like Illinois has any reservations about running offense through them. And then able to pivot off of them and play off of it. And, some of the stuff that Merck does is pretty special. I think that he had one pass against Florida Gulf Coast. It won't be on the highlights because it wasn't an assist, but like he drove baseline and he navigated defenders and he flipped one underneath his shoulder to a top of the key for a three. It led to a hockey assist for a three, and it didn't go in. That doesn't make the highlight tape because it wasn't a real stat, but like it's something that like if you watched like Luka play the other night for the Lakers, the Luka did the exact same thing with like an over the shoulder behind the back wide open dime to Rui Hachimura. That stuff is stupid. And you're getting it from your foreman. Like I feel like they have stumbled on two gems, and they said that in the offseason, and then you see them play and you're like, oh yeah, like they might even be better than what we thought.
I think I texted you this in our group chat. Like I said, is he 90% of Derek Queen? Like there's just I don't see a lot of guys with that size, that skill set. Obviously, he's watched a lot of Jokic. He's not 7 foot. That's his defect for the NBA, which could be a good thing for Illinois. But there's just a lot of things that made Queen really good last year, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. It just feels like Mirkovic has that, just a maturity and a ability to create as a foreman that you don't see very often.
Alperen Sengun, that's the other one I think of too when you see him, just like the feel, the pace, the handle, the screening. Like I love what they're doing right now offensively, the process that they have. Like the Mirkovic Boswell pick and rolls are really fun. And I think that they get you into really good actions because I think Boswell is maybe the best guard screener in the Big Ten. Like he does those screens like in such a high level, has great feel for it, whether to pop, whether to get into gaps. And Mirkovic's feel is high level. And you know what, the thing that's funny is like I feel like Mirkovic's like risk-taking ability kind of has unlocked like some other guys to try some of these reads. Like I saw Ben Rickhouse make a couple passes against Florida Gulf Coast that I've never seen him make before in games. And it just feels like I wonder if he sees what Mirkovic is doing in those extra reads, the ability to be unselfish, get it out of your hands quickly. And, we've always talked about like Golden State, the 0.5 second basketball. Like Mirkovic and Wagler's pass, dribble, shoot, play versatility and that skill set really has unlocked that group to play this way. And I don't think this is fake.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's fake at all. Like they're destroying teams at the rim. They're crushing teams on the glass. They're getting open shots. I really want to go chart an offense against a good team. And I can do that against Texas Tech. Like, how often is Illinois getting the shot that they want on every trip? It feels like Illinois is really humming at a high level where they're getting the shot that they want. The gold, silver, bronze. Joey's wrote about that, right? Like, I'd be curious what that looks like against Texas Tech because this offensive process feels like it's humming at a really high level, and it's November 10th.
Yeah. All right. Andrej Stojakovic gets back on the court. Wasn't pretty for the first segments that he was on the court, but we needed that. Like he needed that, right? Just to get on the court, get ingratiated, ended the game with some positives. But what's that mean for Illinois to at least start that process, especially with Tomislav Ivisic out, to get him back and to get him acclimated as you get into some of these high major games?
Got to have it. Just had to have it. I didn't think if he made his Illinois debut against Texas Tech, that would be productive for him. I don't think that would have been ideal for anybody involved. And so just getting him out on the floor is huge. He still strikes me as like that star player who's trying to figure out how to be a role player at times on a good team. And so like understanding that like the extra cutting, the offensive rebound, the attention to detail defensively, all of those little things matter. And then let the offense come to you because he certainly was forcing the issue a smidge, I thought, offensively. I think he can. He tried to like evade contact a little bit more than I expected. I thought he would maybe like hunt that contact a bit more and try to get to the foul line. But the slashing is going to be there, and he will have open shots in this scheme if he just kind of buys into like the small stuff. And then you kind of mix in some of those times where he has to go get a bucket. And I think against Texas Tech, he is going to be one of the bigger X factors because then we'll get into Texas Tech's personnel, but they're a little bit small on the wing. And Stojakovic's ability to slice defenses and put pressure on the basket and play off of 2 feet, if he plays the right way, he could really tilt the game in their favor.
Yeah, I said this on the podcast after the game. It's like they need somebody like this. Like they need a bigger bodied wing that can create some matchup issues. And you put that alongside Boswell and Wagler. I mean, it's going to take some time, but once it clicks, man, and he figures out how to play with this kind of talent and this kind of role, he could be a phenomenal like third man, fourth man on this team.
The fact that he's your third leading scorer is like a real testament to the team you've built. And, I think that like, that's where it feels like I keep going back to Kylan, because Kylan has really like, he is settled in, man. Like he is really, really settled in. And I thought there was one play against Florida Gulf Coast, one sequence where he like kind of had like a tough little 15-footer that I think it was an air ball. He could have called it a pass to Mirkovic. Mirkovic got the offensive rebound. Same thing comes down the next possession. Shot fake, gets the defender in the air at the same spot on the floor and gets the free throw line. And it's just like that calming influence and the pace that he plays with. And like he can be like that like guy that goes to Andre, who's like, hey, look, I was in your shoes last year, kind of settling in, trying to figure out how I'm playing off of two awesome freshmen. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, and he was able to find those things that you're just awesome at and excel in your role. And that's where I think Andre is going to be a huge help to this team. And him and Kylan are really close. And like that type of partnership, mentorship duo right there, even though they're kind of the same age, I think is going to pay dividends, because at some point Andre is going to be a driver of this team in a game. Like he can win you 3 or 4 games this year. And I think Illinois certainly needs him to just buy into those little things. And once he does, everything was so hard last year. And I feel like he just has to, it's such a flip-flop of like, everything can be a lot more easier for me this year. And just kind of finding that balancing act will be so key.
The long-awaited return of Illinois basketball is officially over, with both the Illini men's and women's basketball teams returning to action in State Farm Center this week. Be sure to gear up to support your Fighting Illini basketball teams this year with the official fan store of the Fighting Illini, Game Day Spirit. They're the one-stop shop for Fighting Illini merchandise in Champaign and have something for every Illini basketball fan. From the brand new Illinois basketball t-shirts and sweatshirts to Final Four merchandise from the Flying Illini and famous 0405 team, they've got something for you. And with all the newcomers on both the men's and women's teams, be sure to check out their selection of men's and women's Nike NIL jerseys and support your favorite player. You can visit them in Campustown at the corner of 6th and Green, or in Champaign right next to State Farm Center at the corner of Neal and Kirby. Or if you're at the game, check out their 4 merchandise stands around State Farm Center. For our audience not local to CU, you can shop with them 24/7 at GameDaySpirit.com. Be sure to follow them on social media at GameDaySpirit to see all their new arrivals this basketball season. Also, mark your calendars for the return of their famous stadium sale on Saturday, December 6th from 9 to 1. Game Day Spirit, where Illini fans shop. All right, it's crossover season for Illinois football and Illinois basketball, and there's some mornings where I'm trying to get to an airport for a road game or trying to get down to Champaign early for a football game. I'm racing out the door and I realize, nope, didn't even make breakfast. And that sometimes means you skip a meal, or even worse, you go to the gas station and get something greasy and you just don't feel well the rest of the day. Now I just grab a Huel ready-to-drink Black Edition. This one's my go-to because it keeps me full and focused. Each bottle's got 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, and 27 essential vitamins and minerals. No sugar added, gluten-free, and still under $5 a meal. Honestly, it's been a game changer. Fewer hangry mornings, I definitely get that. Smoother workouts, and I actually stay on track with my goals without stressing about what to eat. So Huel just makes healthy eating simple, whether you're busy, traveling, or just tired of skipping meals. And cool update, Huel is now in Target stores nationwide. If you want to try it out, new customers can get 15% off with our code Illini at Huel.com/Illini. That's HUEL.com/Illini. That's 15% off your first order, minimum $75 purchase. Use our code, fill out the post-checkout survey, and help support the show. Huel.com/Illini for 15% off. Knee injury for your best player, not great. Especially when you've had all these injuries. We don't know how long yet he'll be out. Colin Boswell said it'd be a bit. Brad Underwood said he'll miss some time. I'd be surprised if he played against Texas Tech. I never count out Tommy Ivisic. So hopefully he can get him back later this month, or whether it's next month, whatever it is. We'll find out more from Brad Underwood, maybe, as we go along here. What is the injury impact for Tommy against Texas Tech and potentially against Alabama? Like, they got some big games coming up here.
I mean, it's significant. This is why, though, you go into the portal and you get somebody like Zvonimir Ivisic, because your offense does not change when he's on the floor in some ways. I think that they don't trust Zvonimir as a playmaker like they trust Tommy. I don't think they trust Zvonimir as a low post scorer like they trust Tommy. I don't think they trust him as like a hub at the top of the key. But Zvonimir does keep that same gravity on the floor as a shooter. And all of a sudden, like, Mirkovic's value skyrockets even more because there are going to be times where Z gets in foul trouble. And I think Mirkovic now becomes your pseudo 5.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of going all in on Mirkovic at the 5 when Zvonimir's not on the floor is where I think that's where the Tommy impact is going to be probably felt the most. That means more minutes for Jake Davis. That means more minutes for Ben-Hum Rickhouse. Like, can you be sound defensively with Mirkovic at the 5? Like, how does the offense operate with that group up together? You like the idea of it, but it has to come together. But, it's frustrating, too, from Tommy's perspective, because I felt like he was set up for an all-Big Ten type of season. I think that there could be a time where he's the best center in college basketball. Like, that's a legit outcome. And so to not have him certainly changes the calculus a little bit. And if I'm Z, this is my time. Like, I wanted this opportunity. Like, I want to be a dude. Like, this is your every opportunity for you to go out and show it. And he's going to have a huge, huge challenge starting tomorrow against Texas Tech.
It says something, though, that like you lose a Tommy Ivisic, and yet you feel like you got a front court that can compete against the best teams. Like, I worry about foul trouble now with Mirkovic and with Big Z. But Big Z can shoot it like Tommy. He can block a bunch of shots. We saw that. Probably the best shot blocker I've seen for Illinois. And then Mirkovic can do a lot of the offensive things that Tommy could do outside of the shooting. But he can get to the free throw line and he can create and be an offensive hub. And Ben-Hum Rickhouse can shoot too. And Jason Jackson can come in. So, I mean, that speaks to what they've built in that front court. But, man, you got to get that guy back soon if you want to compete against the UConns and Tennessees of the world eventually.
And you just kind of want to just see how this group looks together, right? Like, when do you get that vibe together? But you're right. And that's one point that I don't think we should overlook. When Zvonimir committed to Illinois, I looked this up. He had the highest block rate. His block rate last year was in 10%, 11% range on KenPom. That was the highest. Illinois has never had a player like that in the KenPom era, ever. And so, like, you have that type of player back there, and you see it. Like, his ball skills are, like, absurd. And his length and just the ability to get his paws on the basketball is something that, like, you just can't teach that for everybody. And if he can stay out of foul trouble and he can just be consistent and just buy into, again, understand what my job is on both ends of the floor and ace that, and we'll go from there and not kill you, like with some of his, reckless decision-making at times, he can be a really, really impactful player and keep this, kind of train on the tracks without Tommy. Because if, I think Oregon's Nate Biddle's and probably in the conversation for the best center in college basketball. If Nate Biddle is off the floor, Oregon is an absolute dumpster fire. Illinois has the chance to not be that because of Zvonimir, because of Mirkovic. And I'm excited to see what some of those lineups could look like. I think a Mirkovic at the 5 with, Stojakovic or Rickhouse at the 4 and 3, whatever, mixed with Wagler, mixed with Kylan. That's a great lineup. And I think that lineup can do a lot of damage and be really, really hard to guard. And I think against a Texas Tech team that's going through some injuries of their own in the front court, you're not at a size disadvantage when you play that. And so that's like the benefit of building one of the best front courts in college basketball.
All right, Isaac, Texas Tech scored 98 points in both of their games, not quite 113, but still pretty dang good. What challenge is coming to Illinois with the Red Raiders?
This team is a really, really, really special offensive team. They really know what they're doing at a high level. They have an outstanding mix of, they use the middle third of the floor at a very, very, tough clip. And it starts with Christian Anderson and JT Toppin. Those two guys are the headliners. Their pick and roll game is phenomenal, but they do a great job of roster building, of like mixing in spot up shooters. Tyree Bryan and Donovan Atwell are awesome outside shooters. And then Lawan Watts is a terrific addition for them, who can kind of be another booty ball threat for them. He's a lot like Marcus Damask in some ways. And like that's an interesting type of player that Illinois will be challenged by. But I think offensively, Texas Tech could be one of the top 5 offenses in the sport, because you have Toppin in the middle of the floor. He can hit pick and pop threes now. He can pass. He's obviously a load on the offensive glass. You have all this shooting, and you have a dynamic lead guard in Anderson who really makes you go. And I think Illinois' pick and roll defense, and Cam Crocker especially, like what type of challenges he has up his sleeve, this will be a really excellent test, because I think Illinois can score on Texas Tech in a hurry. This screams shootout to me, and whoever gets those kills, those 3 stops in a row, whoever gets the most kills in a game like this, I think finds a way to win it.
I had written down, this feels like the first real Cam Crocker impact game. Isaac, so you led me right into it. It's going to be Boswell and Christian Anderson. I can't imagine anything else. How does Crocker in Illinois check JT Toppin? How do you think they attack him?
I think playing Mirkovic on him to start is interesting. Depending on now, Texas Tech's in a very interesting spot as you, because like Luke Bamboy, their star center from the portal, like he's a really good defensive player, not much of an offensive guy yet. He's been out for the first 2 games. So it's a little, if he doesn't play, it's kind of similar to Tommy. I don't think playing Zvonimir on Toppin at the all times is maybe the answer, just because of foul trouble risk. And I kind of like the idea of Mirkovic kind of physically being toe-to-toe with him, with Zvonimir kind of looming as that back-end presence there. And you can kind of get away with it just a smidge, because they're starting Nolan Groves right now, who's like a 6'5" freshman. Like you kind of live with him taking contested threes at this point. I think that's the first answer. But Texas Tech does a great job of spacing the floor and putting you in binds and making your 2-on-2 defense be excellent. And if Kylan Boswell, like Kylan's the key to all of this. If he wins his individual matchup against Christian Anderson, Illinois is winning the game, and like that point blank. And that's the key. If he can really, if he wants to be the National Defensive Player of the Year or Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, like this would be a really fine time to start the campaign against one of the best, breakout candidates in all of the sport.
Fall always feels like a reset. Between back to school, busier routines, and shorter days, finding time to cook can be tough. That's why I love Factor. Their chef prep, dietitian approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious no matter how hectic the season gets. The great thing, more variety and more meals with Factor. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. Support your wellness goals as well. Enjoy even more with GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good-for-you fats. For more choices to better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. Feel the difference no matter your routine. Eat smart at factormeals.com/Illini50off and use code Illini50off to get 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code Illini50off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. One play can change a season. One upset can silence a stadium. With every snap, the stakes get higher, and no one brings you closer to the action than DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. From live betting to odds boosts and so much more, DraftKings Sportsbook has everything you need to stay in the action from kickoff to the final whistle. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get paid out $300 in bonus bets instantly. Own every Saturday with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Illini. That's code Illini to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expires in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. What's the key offensively against Tech?
Like I was talking about earlier, like I was watching Washington last night, and Washington's flow has been great against all of these like mid-major teams. And then they play Baylor, and all of their flow goes away, and it suddenly just goes right into like pounding the basketball and just dribbling the hell out of it. And, when I watched Texas Tech against Sam Houston State, if you get the ball to the paint against them, Texas Tech, without Bamboy right now, who's their awesome shot blocker, is pretty like vulnerable. Sam Houston State had 18 offensive rebounds. They gave up 36 points in the paint. They gave up a ton of shots at the rim. Like JT Toppin's a decent shot blocker, but he's probably a 4, right? Like who has to play the 5 at times now. And Illinois just has to continue to ace their flow and continue to put pressure on the basket and find those angles and continue to like matchup hunt specifically. Like there's going to be times where Texas Tech's backcourt is really small. Like Anderson's 178 pounds. Sometimes they're playing Jalen Petty, who's a freshman now with him, who's 170 pounds. Like Kylan's a grown man. Andre is a grown man. Like, can you find those mismatches and at the elbows and those back downs? And can you play out of it? And if Illinois plays inside out, I think that's the path to winning this game. Because I think if they keep doing what they're doing offensively, Texas Tech does not have the personnel to stop them. They just don't right now. And they haven't had a lot of time together either. This Texas Tech defense will be better in March than it is right now. And I think Illinois has to put up a big number because offensively, Texas Tech's just a wagon.
Yeah. KenPom has Illinois as a 6-point favorite right now. Man, if they could win this without Tommy, what an early win that would be, especially going into next week. I mean, you got Colgate, the Cam Crocker game on Friday, but Alabama looked phenomenal. That backcourt of Holloway and Thylon looks fantastic. What would it mean to get a win heading into that game against Alabama at the UC?
I think it just sets the tone of like, we are in the conversation to be a top 3 or 4 seed if we keep taking care of business. Yeah. And you get a win like this on your home floor, like that sets you up in March. And I thought that Illinois, it was a similar vibe last year with like that Tennessee game at home where it felt like, hey, this one's like one you kind of need to have if you want to like put yourself in position to have a top 4 or 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we know how that ended with Gainey, like the game winner down the stretch. This is a game where I think Illinois has got to have it because Alabama is going to be a really, really big challenge for you. And I think what we've known is that like if you can just split your big, strong non-conference games and then hold serve in Big Ten play in this league, that's your path to, that's your runway to, putting yourself in position to make the Sweet 16 and go beyond and stuff like that. So it's kind of like as a table setter, because I think a lot of people are like looking at this group from a national perspective and being like, awesome non-conference play, like so far, like that you looked the part, but like, is this really actually going to work? And like, I think that's where against like a Texas Tech, you can start to put this like fingerprint out there that like, hey, we're legit. And like Keaton Wagler is not just like this fun little offseason story that's going to kill like, mid-major teams. And, David Mirkovic isn't this fun little offseason story that's going to put doubles up, it's kind of similar to Dane Danger against the smaller competitions. And he's going to be legit. And that's the opportunity that's staring you in the face, because you just don't have many quad one opportunities that come around that often on your home court in non-conference play. And you just can't let those miss. Like you just can't let those opportunities go to waste. And
kind of has here recently for Illinois. So this would be a big step forward. Very talented roster, though. Isaac, I mean, I saw ESPN's top 100. They had 4 Illini in their top 100 for their draft this year. Now, only one of those guys really in the draftable position with Tommy at number 35 or 36, I believe it was. And that didn't even include Mirkovic and Wagler. So that's what I step back and try to appreciate is, one, this offense is fun. It's fun to watch. But the talent level Brad Underwood is getting in here gives you a chance to win these kind of games and put yourself in these conversations.
Yeah, and I thought David's comment after the game about like, hey, we're built to like win big games. That was the exact quote was like, there's some inner confidence about this group, and maybe that's Brad, but I think it's Kylan. I think Kylan has really like, not to beat a dead horse, but I just feel like when he is at his best, this whole team just changes, into a different sphere. I really do think that, because like, and against Texas Tech, like I think if he is the best guard on the floor, I think Illinois wins this game going away, because I think offensively you just have too many answers for them. Texas Tech, the interior defense is going to be a problem. I think Illinois can find ways to getting enough stops with the volume of depth that they have. I trust Illinois' role players a little bit more than Texas Tech's at this point in the game. But like, you cannot let their stars be stars. And Illinois has to find a way to turn the water off. And that starts with Kylan. And the depth last year I thought was a funny conversation, because I felt like going into the year we thought Illinois was very deep. And then it was like that Northwestern game, I think you and I were at together, we're like, can this team play 6 guys? Yeah. Like, do you have 6 guys that you trust? This year, it's the same type of deal. Like, oh, we feel like we have a pretty deep team. Illinois is like, oh, I think we got 6, 7, 8 guys, 9 guys that we could play. All of that changes once you start playing the big dogs. And I'm curious to see like what that rotation looks like and how many guys like they actually trust when push comes to shove. It's such a big game that Isaac Trotter is scheduled to come down to Champaign. Can't wait for it. Isaac, you're the man. I'll see you at State Farm Center tomorrow night, man. Sounds good. Looking forward to it.